Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, you can find every episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Please help us grow by subscribing or sharing the Newsa-Cast with friends, or follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, or Instagram. Now let's get the show on the road.
The thing with lacrosse, you can work your way into having just incredible IQ and incredible stick, and you can get there through hard work, but it doesn't hurt, man, to be fast and strong, right?
Welcome to the Newsa-Cast. What is a Newsa-Cast? It's where we bring local folk stories to life through conversation.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, welcome to episode 28. We are sitting here on a snow day, Tuesday, and nice little storm out there, Joe. I don't know about you, but it definitely was not as bad as the media played it out to be.
Boy, not even close, Tosh. You hate to rip another profession, but been an official long enough, get ripped, so I'm going to rip somebody else. I mean, what the heck? 12 hours ago, we're sitting there watching the news, and I get it's tough, and weather moves, and 100 miles makes a huge difference. But
yeah,
I thought I was going to wake up this morning, to 6 inches of snow and not be able to get out of my driveway, and then. I understand stuff gets pushed in a little bit a couple of hours later, and they're saying at noon or whatever we're supposed to get it. I delivered mail all day today, and it wasn't the greatest day in the world, but it wasn't bad. It was certainly nothing close to what they thought. You had mentioned it, but you're absolutely right. And I guess it's maybe just the state of the world that we're in right now, but wow, do they sensationalize weather, don't they? Every little thing is it just scrolls across the screen and breaking into, your Twitter feed explodes and your phone chimes off, and it's wall-to-wall coverage on the local news. It's unbelievable the focus on weather, and it's not really a fault, I guess, of the meteorologist, but it's not a 100% accurate science, right?
No, it's not. The whole storm system actually went a little bit south and east, and that little bit of south and east of that low pressure makes a huge difference. I talked to my students yesterday, and I told them 100%. I said, I 100% believe that you're not getting a snow day. I told all my classes that, and I had to go into school last night, and my students are like, oh, you were wrong. You were wrong. It's like one of the first times or whatever. And I'm like, I will admit that I'm wrong. We're having a snow day tomorrow, but I guarantee you on Wednesday when you come in, you're going to be like, yeah, Mr. Toshner, you're actually right. We probably shouldn't have had a snow day. And I told them exactly what actually happened. I was looking at the weather and showing them where the low pressure was probably going to go and how I thought we were probably going to get around 4 to 5 inches of snow. And they're like, whatever, you're just a teacher. I'm like, yep, I am. You're right.
Yeah, what do you
but
know?
I might have guessed right this time. So,
I get that there probably is some guessing involved. That was, and as a teacher, I don't know if you have the answer for this, but back in our day, you never canceled school the day before. I mean, that was part of some of the excitement. Maybe the kids miss out on a snow day is you used to get up and look at the scroll and see if your school was across, or maybe you'd flip on WHBY and listen to them rattle off every school. And
that was the only way to do it.
Right.
You didn't have text on your phones.
No.
You had to go downstairs, look at the TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You'd get up early and you'd be fired up, but it was never canceled the day before.
No.
And there is no way school was getting canceled today back in. And I don't want to sound like that old guy, even though I sound like that old guy.
Did you used to walk uphill both ways, Joe?
Yeah, 10 miles both ways. And the weird thing was it was a blizzard every single day, too. Middle of July, snowstorm, uphill 10 miles every day.
You were in school in the middle of July?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That was special, Josh.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, no, you know what? I mean, I don't want to blame anybody. The storm did kind of take a turn, and that does happen. That's what's so tricky about weather, even with all the computers and predictions and everything else they make. Mother Nature is going to do what it wants to, and this just turned to the south, and like I said, a little bit, and we don't get as much as we thought we were going to.
You mentioned Mother Nature, and you're never going to beat Mother Nature. Mother Nature is undefeated in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we could probably sit here and talk about the weather like grouchy old men, grumpy old men, just like the movie. But we got some good things to talk about. The Green Bay Packers. What a great run at the end of the season here to qualify for the tourney, as you say, get into the playoffs.
I came to learn pretty quickly predictions, and one of my forgetting and forgotten, I said I'm forgetting the Packers. They're done. That was, 4 weeks ago maybe. And one of our loyal listeners, Steve, I love that he goes back and listens to every show. We're the only podcast he's ever listened to is the Newsa-Cast, and I love that. But he so kindly reminded me that I made that prediction, and indeed I was wrong. The Packers are in the playoffs, and I should know better than that. You never make predictions like that far out. Anything can happen, and anything can happen in the NFL. And hey, they're getting hot. You never know. Now you go up against the old ball coach, Mike McCarthy, and that'll be. Packers have never lost in Dallas. I think I heard that stat today. Never lost in Dallas. Yeah.
I just, when it gets to this point, anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday.
Yeah.
And that was proven last Sunday with some of the upsets and the Jaguars losing, and Philadelphia's lost 4 in a row now. And, it's just when you're a professional team, somebody's going to get hot at the right time. They're going to beat a bad team's going to beat a good team. And so when we get to this point, there's a lot of excitement, and, there's a lot of excitement around here in Green Bay and in Wisconsin. And, this is great for all the bars and restaurants that are going to be playing the game, and it brings in money to the area. And, even though it's not a home game, there's still going to be a lot of people out and about and watching a game. So this is fantastic. It gives us another week to be excited.
No, I agree. I mean, we grew up in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't like this, and you have to cherish every year you make the playoffs. This was an unexpected playoff year, I would say, and that's pretty darn cool. And the last time, if I'm remembering correctly, the last time they were a 6th seed or a last seed in the playoff in the wild card, they went on and won the Super Bowl. So I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but hey, you never know.
No, and we have some other things. I'm being a hockey guy. The World Juniors just ended in Sweden, and USA came away with the gold, which is fantastic.
Nice.
Kind of beat up on Sweden 6-3 in the final. So that's fantastic to see. Now all those, I want to say kids, young men are going to go back off to their college teams. And, we have lots of young men who are drafted, and they'll be going, to the NHL at some point. So pretty cool to see. It was a lot of fun to watch. And in 2 years, 2026, it's going to be in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So that's fantastic. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. Will those kids come and play for like the Gamblers or in that same league?
Those kids are going to be going to D1 schools right away.
Oh, they do? Okay.
And they'll be going to possibly NHL, but most of them are D1. They're playing D1. I don't even know who the youngest kid playing was. I'd have to look that up, but
sure.
Those are a top level, 20 and under kids.
Right. No, that's great. I mean, that's hockey, curling, all the winter sports, basketball, they're all heating up. I know great high school basketball this weekend.
Yep. And we had national championship last night.
Yeah,
Michigan.
We
don't
did.
like to cheer for them, but you had to kind of cheer for a Big Ten school.
El Presidente Dave Portnoy is excited, being a Michigan man that he is, and
I can't really cheer for him.
It
just goes against everything.
I like Harbaugh
in my body. Huh?
I get that. Yeah, I'm sort of the same way, but for some reason I like Harbaugh. I don't know why.
Oh,
maybe. I mean, even when he was with the Bears, he was just kind of always a character. I get a kick out of that family.
Yeah, I'm just the opposite. I do not like Harbaugh. So I don't know. We'll see what happens to Michigan. It could be the end of a run because they're losing some guys, and they could lose Harbaugh.
Yeah, it appears like he might go to the NFL. So it would
So-
be it'd be kind of cool. It wouldn't be good for the Packers, but it would be cool if he went to the Bears. Coach, I mean, I think he's just one heck of a coach. Really, I mean, he's
Yeah. Well, he's proven himself. Absolutely.
yeah, he absolutely has. But we'll see. I don't know. I guess it seems like the front runner right now is San Diego, but who knows?
Never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tosh, probably the biggest news out of everything, you know, Fish does their 4-night run in Madison Square Garden over New Year's every year. So much so that they have a banner hung, but they just released today a 2-hour video from the 31st where they did the whole Gamehenge saga, start to finish.
Okay.
So and for any Fish fans, I know that there's several that listen to this podcast that are rampant Fish fans. They'll love the fact that Gamehenge was covered for the first time in I think 30 years, start to finish.
There you go.
Epic.
Excellent. Well, we got a great episode this week. We're going to dive back into the world of lacrosse.
Yes.
And you're going to hear all, fantastic lacrosse mind, Joe.
No, so you can't, and we'll talk about this when Roger Hornberger. So, I mean, you can't talk about lacrosse in this area without, we talked to Chris Green earlier, and, we've talked to some coaches and things like that, but Roger is
Danny
Falsky. Right. Exactly. But
Mike
Roger,
Zadraga.
100%. But to the excitement, just the foundation of lacrosse being built in northeastern Wisconsin, Roger is one of, probably one of the 4 quote founding fathers, cornerstones, however you want to phrase that, of just kind of building that foundation. And that's led to, Kimberly lacrosse and just the strengthening in the FV or in the Bay Valley, even to a certain extent, making Lawrence's job just slightly easier because people know what lacrosse is. And it's guys like Rogers, it's guys like Marsh and Chris Green and, Paul Espinoza and Becky Unterricher, people like that not everybody knows, but without those people, there just isn't lacrosse, and the opportunities that these kids have now to play and that have had to play over the last several years are just, it's equal to any other sport out there. You think of baseball, basketball, whatever, AAU, all of that, you can find something like that in the world of lacrosse right here in northeastern Wisconsin for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be good. You're going to enjoy the episode, and thank you for tuning in. Check us out on YouTube where you get your throwbacks as well. We appreciate you, the word of mouth, just telling people about the podcast, and we hope you can continue to enjoy it.
We should shout out Tosh. I know we did in the recap, but Taylor's wife, Lindsay, who does the social media for us for the Newsa-Cast, she is killing it. It's pretty cool. Check out the Newsa-Cast. We're really trying to just dive into the community on all the different platforms and just throw some content out there for you folks.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, it is time we take that look at history somewhere around northeast Wisconsin, could be around the world, and we just take a look and see what was happening. So, Joe, you got something for an old look at new?
Well, I do, Tosh. We this is prime TV watching season, right? We watch football. The bowl games have just been played. The national championship has just been played. And we're in full swing of the NFL. And if we're not there in person, we're watching it on TV. And I tell you what, it's pretty amazing, isn't it, Tosh? HD TV. Well, I was looking, and on December 30th, 1953, the first color TV sets went on sale. RCA, company that, I still remember, but they're not too prominent anymore. They set up 20 target markets, and Milwaukee was actually one of those target markets to see if people actually would purchase a color TV. Come a long way since 1953.
Yeah, exactly. That is pretty crazy. 1953, first color TV.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now you can go to Walmart and get a 60-inch television for a couple $100.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah, they said they were most TVs were 21-inch black and white TVs back in the day. But
wow.
But then this one, the first ones in 1953 were a 12-inch color TV.
12-inch color. It's about the size of your iPhone now.
That's right. How about you, nice. Tosh? What are you looking at?
We're going to go back to 1962, January 8th. And in 1962, at the Los Angeles Open, Jack Nicklaus made his pro debut.
Ah, yeah.
So January 8th, 1962, Jack Nicklaus pro debut at the Los Angeles Open, and he finished tied for 50th.
Very nice. The Golden Bear.
So probably not exactly the start he wanted, but obviously things turned out all right for Jack.
That's right. Everybody's still chasing Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was pretty cool, 1962.
Yes. A long time ago for both of us, but I like it, Tosh. It was our old look at new.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, I'm super excited. You're going to love this interview. I know we've hit lacrosse a few times, but when you talk about lacrosse in the area, there are several people who are key. And this person, Roger Hornberger, is a key person to bring lacrosse to this area and to help it expand.
Yeah, 100%, Tosh. There's a couple of people in this area that really deserve credit. I mean, it's... One, I want to say, you're right. We have talked a lot of lacrosse in really the short time that we've been in the Newsa-Cast, but it is special. One, it's very close to us. I mean, I had a son that played lacrosse. Roger has been Owen's coach in the past, so I've known Roger for a long time. I've officiated the sport with him. I've watched him coach his teams. So he's huge. He's been, we get into it a little bit when he first moved. He's an East Coast guy. And as we talk about East Coast lacrosse, I always kind of compare it to what Friday night football is to here. That's kind of what lacrosse is there. It's way bigger, especially in the high school on the East Coast, but it's slowly making its way here. And even in the time that I've been involved with lacrosse, for the last 8 years or so, it's really growing since then. And I know, Tosh, you're involved, your son Ethan is involved, and you're seeing the growth as well. But like we've been saying, guys like Roger and Paul Espinoza and Chris Green we had on one of our very first Newsa-Cast episodes. Chris was really the one that brought the sport of lacrosse here to this area. But Roger's one of those guys that helped grow it, help expand it, help bring knowledge to coaches, to parents. One of the things with sort of a niche or niche, I don't know, we always talk about, I don't know what the right word is, but especially with sports like that, they're fun. Kids kind of latch on to them, especially when you have a good coach like Roger, but nobody else really knows how to coach it. Parents don't, anybody can coach baseball, right? But some better than others, but you at least know the lingo of baseball, or maybe even football to a certain extent. Nobody knows lacrosse. They don't understand it. They don't, it's just, they sit there with their mouth open looking at people running on the field having no idea what's going on. But they can still yell at officials, so that's key.
But the thing, and then I think one of the keys about this interview, and I think you as a listener are going to really enjoy it, is just Roger's perspective. He's got a great perspective on not only lacrosse, but pretty much all sports. And it's going to come through, but it's also going to come through as just his love, and not really necessarily his love of lacrosse, but his love of coaching and being there for kids.
Yeah. Roger, at the end of the day, is a lacrosse junkie. You think of that basketball gym rat that just loves basketball so much, all he wants to do is shoot. That's Roger with lacrosse. He still plays lacrosse. And I should mention, so, we've mentioned, well, if you're first listening to this, well, great, Roger Hornberger likes lacrosse, but what does he really do? And he's the varsity head coach at Kimberly Papermakers, varsity coach, first one in the history. Kimberly's, is it their fourth year? Something like that. They're a relatively new program. Roger was involved in Appleton. He was a longtime coach at Appleton. He actually then helped, when he was with Appleton, start the Kimberly youth program. So that was really the seed that started the high school program. You obviously need to have the youth playing. You need players if you're going to start a high school program. So, but more than that, he bleeds lacrosse. You'll see him in the Appleton Park and Recs program teaching lacrosse. You'll see him in the summer, the different summer lacrosse is very much like basketball, where you have Scotty, has been here for a lot of years. Roger was a coach there. So yeah, Roger's a fantastic lacrosse coach. He's a very good official. He just wants the game to be successful. So he knows we need officials. He hops on, puts the stripes on. Last year or the year before, I think that the officiating shortage in girls lacrosse is even worse than it is in boys. And he learned the rules to girls lacrosse and became a girls lacrosse official. So we love the sport. There's some tremendous characters. So I guess that's why our focus a little bit here in the first 28 episodes that we've had has been a little bit lacrosse heavy, but we think it's worth it. Now you're going to love the story of Roger. I mean, he's a fantastic guy, and he just bleeds lacrosse, and we're very, very lucky to have him in northeastern Wisconsin.
Yeah, so sit back, grab your favorite cup of Joe or adult beverage, and enjoy this interview with Roger.
What is your story, Roger? I mean, you came here. You're not an Appleton guy. You're an East Coast guy. You brought East Coast lacrosse knowledge.
So I was in Jersey for 14 years. I mean, I'm an East Coast guy, although I did spend 4 years out of college in. Going through my history is going to take a while, so I'll try to go really quick. I grew up on Long Island, where lacrosse is normal, and everybody does it. I started playing in 7th grade, as I like to tell the kids, in 1975. And I started in gym class.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a 4-6 week segment of a Syracuse guy who played for Syracuse, and he ran gym class. And there was a math teacher at the middle school I was at, and we just I cradled up and down. I still remember I got an A. And I'd never played before. And it was the first plastic sticks. So anyway, I played in high school. I played at Brown. I tried to play at Brown. I never made it. I played football and lacrosse, which is the most normal, natural thing in the world, is to play football and lacrosse. And my list of examples goes on and on. Starts with Jim Thorpe,
sure.
Jim Brown. Where do you want to go? And right on up to the latest one is the Alabama quarterback,
right,
who was at Notre Dame, went to Alabama, played quarterback. Now he's transfer portaled into Notre Dame to play lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
So, lacrosse. My son played football and lacrosse. That whole deal. So anyway, played in college, played some club. Kids got born, so I hung out for a while. Then my son got it. I coached my son. I gave him a choice, and this is all parents should just follow their kids. Don't lead their kids, because that's how you get burnout. And I said, hey, what do you want to do? You want to play lacrosse or baseball? He said baseball. And we got through 7th grade football. 7th grade football. He's like, Dad, I want to play lacrosse. I'm like, let's go. And then he was totally into it. And so that got me back into it. I started coaching again, coaching with my buddy. And then kind of a bunch of things in my life all came to a crossroads, and it was stay in Jersey or move. And I ended up moving with my company. Miller Electric's awesome. And ended up an opportunity out here. But there was no way I was coming to Wisconsin if there wasn't some lacrosse. And I went to Chris Green's and Eric Marsh's practice at Valley Athletics back in the day. And I said, okay, there's lacrosse here, I can come. And next thing I knew, we were doing exactly what you talked about, starting Appleton Youth, making it up as we went along. It's so awesome now when you go in June, you see, I don't know, how many kids is there? 200-300 kids, whatever there are, all playing. And it all started with 3 or 4 teams. I think Oneida, us, Appleton, Nina, Oneida, Nina, Appleton, and Kimberly. And then we kind of, Stevens Point came along pretty quick, and Wausau came along pretty quick.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it. I absolutely love the space we're in. I think we're in some interesting times in lacrosse right now, and some inflection points, with WIA coming and stuff. And so I had a really tough decision of, my son was when I was coaching youth at Appleton. I mean, I definitely would love to have coached high school, but I was reffing with you, Joe. And as you say, finding mouthpieces that aren't put
That's
in and
right.
whatnot.
Roger's a master of that. You are the I tell everybody that you are the greatest official at picking up whether a player has a mouthpiece or not in his mouth.
Joe, it's an anti-concussion device.
It is. Correct. Facts.
So anyway, I kind of made that work, right? Because coaching youth and coaching and ref in high school wasn't a problem. But then my son, played 4 years at D2, and I was flying back and missing weekends here and there that I says, no way I could have done a varsity job.
Okay.
So then when he graduated, then that kind of got my opportunity to say, okay, I want to go help a varsity team grow. And I just thought the sport in general with Kimberly as one of the participants would be better off if Kimberly had a solid foundation, and the guys had started it. We had good coaches, and I just went in and said, hey guys, I'd love to coach your team. And they said, what about our current coaches? And those guys have been awesome. I said, they can all be my assistants. Jason Diem's been off to be our youth director, and he runs the box for me, and all the guys have stayed with, and it's been awesome. Now I've got players coming back and helping out as assistants.
Sure.
So it's been great.
It's been interesting. We had a few weeks ago, we had Nick Salm on, and he started basically the youth football program, which ultimately feeds into the high school and improves the varsity level. And I mean, you did the same thing. I mean, like any of these sports, it really, and especially lacrosse being a grassroots sport, especially in this area, I mean, it starts with the youth. You got to have that solid foundation at the youth, and even more so, I guess Absolutely. It happens in football as well, but you're training the coaches as well. I mean, nobody here has played.
That's literally what I just came from, Joe, was coaching the youth coaches.
Right.
Because they're dads that are all in. They love the fact that their kids love the sport, but they want to learn how to coach.
Right.
And so, it's kind of like you got to turn out the first car, you got to build the factory, right? So
Absolutely.
And we've been doing that, and we, slowly over time, you're going to get kids that come back that have kids, right? And
right.
But, we're not there yet. We're in between, right? So
it is
a lot of me and Chris Green, everybody else running around. But, it's great having like Mikey Zadroga come in the area now.
Yeah.
Who you guys had on. Marion coaches have been helpful over the years.
Right.
And kids are coming back. If you look in the Bay Valley, some of our coaches are guys that were former players now, so we're getting there. I think I could just gush for a long time about WIAA and how important it was to get that recognition. It's like it was hard for me to even understand that the sport wasn't federated when I first came out here. I was like, what? Because New York State has 410 high schools playing lacrosse. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Like, of course it is. Yeah. Like, no, it's not federated here. Oh yeah, we got to wait for fields. We got, and Joe, you know this, Todd, isn't that a club sport? Is like the thing the other parents say. Well, now I can say, no, it's actually a federated WIA sport. It's like it's a dumb question. If you look at my players this year, they're going to have refs, I hope. We're going to have, fields, uniforms, buses, everything we had last year. It's just now we're in a much more of the umbrella of professionals helping you run the sport, because we ran around the coaches trying to coach their teams and run their sports, and the presidents and everybody else. And, it's just, there's only so much you could do. Now, hopefully we have, professional help with athletic directors. I could tell you for hours how great Ryan McGinnis has been as our athletic director at Kimberly. I mean, he has just been from day one, giving great advice, giving great support, helping where he could. His watchword was be patient but persistent, and we've been that, and now it's awesome. I mean, I'm hoping we have 40, perhaps even 50 kids playing lacrosse at Kimberly, which it started from my Appleton U14 team X number of years ago. We had like 6 or 7 Kimberly kids on it. And then they were done with U14, like, hey, we want to keep playing. I said, well, go start a team. And they did, and that's kind of what I inherited after 2 or 3 years. So, but it was hard. Can I tell a story about Joe Ornstein's kid, Tosh?
Sure, go ahead.
So Owen, first of all, Owen was perpetually in the penalty box because he was just bigger than the other kids. But anyway, my son comes out. My son's a big kid, and he's coaching us. And Owen, this is like the hardest part of moving to Wisconsin. Owen, Joe's kid, comes up to my son and says, "Hey, coach, where do you want to put my big?" And my son had to come over to me and say, "Dad, I have no idea what that kid just said." I said, "Son, I think he wants to know where to put his lacrosse bag." So Owen Ornstein is kind of like a common joke between me and my son. It's like we just say, "Yeah, I need my bag."
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard
different
that.
dialect, right?
It's been great. I think there's so many positives about being out here as opposed to East Coast. People talk about East Coast or the other hotbeds. I like the fact that they're all public schools that are playing. Oh, yeah, there's a mix of parochial schools too, right? But they're not dominant. I mean, like my buddies back on Long Island, they run a youth program. The kids, they develop them, everything else, and then they all go off to Chaminade or St. Anthony's, and they're on the fourth line midfield, and I'm going to be D1 and all that stuff. So it's we don't have that problem yet. I hope we do have. I see some East Coastification happening, but it happens everywhere. By the way, the interview you guys had last week with the Xavier AD and volleyball, I felt like I could say yes to almost everything he said. It was like the only thing I'd say is a little bit different is we do not have club is not dominating. It's still high school experience is still really important. I think it's a crying shame when kids don't play their high school team to go play, soccer, travel, whatever. Right. You only have one high school experience. Don't you want to spend it with your friends and your community and the kids you grew up with, other than some strangers on some team you tried out for, and then you try out for another team, and you try out for another team, and you're flying around, and all of a sudden, pretty soon, you're like, what just happened?
Right.
Yeah.
So I like where we're at. Certainly, there is a club environment which I know about, and Mikey's doing Construct, and we've had Scani and all that. But I still love the fact that the high school program's important, and and get so many kids to play, because that's where I came from.
Right.
I played high school. There was no club or anything like that, and my parents certainly would not have had the means to put me on a club way back when.
I people ask a lot of. I mean, you're an educator of lacrosse here, but what is lacrosse like on the East Coast for in high school? The high school experience, I always equate it to Friday Night Lights here. It's sort of that similar experience.
Yes, I mean, I think that what would I say? The numbers are really the different, and then the distillation of talent you get out of the numbers. I mean, we've got athletes here that are just as good as East Coast kids, but the difference is, like my son's high school, he played in Jersey, Sparta, New Jersey. They had five. First of all the football kids played lacrosse, and all lacrosse kids played football at the skill position. My son was actually an offensive tackle and defensive end, probably a bigger lacrosse player. He's 6'5", right? He's a big kid.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So he played football and lacrosse, and that was like the most natural thing. When the one school he was at, the offensive coordinator in football was the head lacrosse coach, vice versa. So it was a big, sharing of those, those kind of skilled athletes. I'd say that's what's maturing here. I guess I would say we're on a progression there. A lot more hockey kids here than you have out east because hockey's big out east, but there's not that many.
Right.
And it's Long Island teams and stuff like that. So I think the difference is just there's more kids playing. So when you get in, and there's good and bad to that. And also, I love the fact that for 95% of the kids here, when they get in a car after a youth game or a high school game, dad has no clue how to criticize them. So they just say, good job, son. It looked like you had fun, which is what they should say regardless of what sport they're playing.
Right.
Right. I mean,
right.
I tell my parents, and I don't know if they all listen, but no PGA, no post-game analysis, please.
Absolutely.
Really. I mean, the kids, they're having fun. They're jacked up. They just played. They just won. They just lost, whatever. Let's keep it positive and just make sure they're having fun and are involved in something. I mean, I think it's so important for kids to be involved in something, regardless of whether, I loved Coach Ergus. He said, on one sport, you're the star, and on the other sport, you're the support guy. And I think that's just awesome. And they're awesome. All the lessons you learn from being a team player. I think lacrosse offers those opportunities. And I'd also start where he started. He said, volleyball's fun. Lacrosse is fun. It's just flat out fun. I mean, I played both, went off to college to play football and lacrosse. And football is like someone invented this job, and I'm trying to get an engineering degree. And I'm like, this was fun in high school when I was playing. And, then I was like, oh, it was work, in college. I mean, I understand you got to work to get better at stuff. There's no doubt about that, right? But this was like not fun. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that. I knew I wasn't going to the NFL. There were guys on my high school team on my college team that went to the NFL, but I was not going to be one of them. And I'm like, this is work. Whereas lacrosse practice, if the only thing coaches can do is to make it not fun. We have screwed up if we make it not fun because it is a fun sport to practice and play games. So, yeah, Joe, and yes, when you get to Long Island Championship or Suffolk County Championship or New York State, it is a big deal.
I wanted to go back when Casey Powell was here. And this is something you said as well. It was a gym teacher who brought it in, and you just said you had a gym teacher as well. Do you think? I mean, now that WIA is coming in and the sport is growing, that maybe we can get that more into the elementary schools and it's going to blossom.
I think every, to grow any sport, YMCA, right, involvement, certainly physical education, right? Venequatro, who was Casey's guy, just introduced it to him, and he took 3 guys. It would be like if you went to some other planet and introduced a sport to 3 guys, and they were all became Tiger Woods. I mean, that's what the Pals did. And their town didn't have lacrosse. It's like unreal what they did, So, yes, I couldn't agree more. And I think, phys ed's a great way to get it going. And I'm really excited we got the girls going now, too. I mean, 3 years ago, probably right around this time, I was in a meeting at Kimberly. We had one girl that had played 8th grade boys lacrosse, and she wanted to keep playing lacrosse. And she came in, and I said, hey, get the word out, and we'll go figure this out. And we had like 20 some odd girls, and said, hey, if you guys want to play, someone step up and be the coach, and that's all we need is players. And now they're probably going to have a JV and a varsity this year, and
that's awesome.
They got girls doing really well.
Do you have coaches on the girls' side? Coaches on the girls' side too?
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Heather Van Boom, and she stepped up as a mom who had coached some soccer in the past and has gotten us going. And this year we have a young woman who moved to the area who actually played in Texas and played in college, and she's helping the team out. So
excellent.
Yeah. And then Truett Wilson seems to be everywhere these days coaching lacrosse. So he's helping out too. So
good for him.
That's awesome.
Not on our high school team, to be clear, but he's coaching where he can.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
He's
simultaneous
coaching at lacrosse.
with all of this, I mean, we have all of this at the youth level as well. I mean, there's girls at just about every age level as well.
Yep, we are registering and trying to get a girls U14 team for Kimberly. We've had a couple of joint efforts and things like that, but yeah, got it. That has to happen. Absolutely has to. And what happens is, I always say, boys have sisters and sisters have brothers. So then the one finds out about the sport.
Right.
Next thing you know, you got 2 or 3 lacrosse players. I mean, the Odgers are a perfect example. Luke Odgers kind of. I mean, Kimberly started. I was at some practice, like, I don't know, whatever. He's in 5th grade. I just was with him and his dad watching the Packers win, and he's in his 2nd year of college. But in 5th grade, I said, "Hey, man, where are you from?" And he said, "Kimberly." I said, "Oh, yeah, where's your mom?" And we went over and found his mom. And I said, "Hi, Amy, Roger Hornberger." I said, "How you doing?" I said, "You ever hear of Kimberly Lacrosse?" And she says, "No." I said, "That's right, because you're going to start it." And that's what we did. She did.
Nice.
Her and her husband, a whole bunch of the Gages, and yeah. Next thing you know, Luke went out and recruited 20 kids on his own, and here we are.
Luke was the face-off kid, right?
Yeah.
He was a good kid.
Yeah, really, really good face-off kid. Yep. Yeah, he was running practice tonight.
Nice.
I guess, so yeah.
Is he playing in college?
He's playing. So he played a year at JUCO.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Did really well, but had some health issues, and he's actually playing at Northern Michigan club. But it's pretty good club. He's having fun. It travels all over playing. Yep. I had the class, my 22 class, which was that first group. We had 6 kids commit to college, and
Wow.
they're all doing different stuff. In the Midwest, 2 of them went out east to Baltimore. Kids got hurt, stuff
Sure.
like that. It happens in normal college kids, but they had the opportunity, which is great.
It is amazing how many kids in really just in the last few years, I feel like it's really accelerated, but there's a lot of kids in the Bay Valley now that are going on to play in, whether it's D3, D1, whatever. I mean, Gage from Bayport, right? He's playing professional even right now, right? Or no, who's
Gash.
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 Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He is. Well, I wish someone had. I was a little freaky. He's totally freaky. When I was 18, he is a monster. And I would sit there and I'm like, this kid, I don't care if he's from Borneo, man.
Yeah.
He could play lacrosse. And he took a weird path, but he ended up playing at Albany, which is a serious D1 program, and now he's playing in the pros.
Right.
So he's, it helps to be a first guy off the bus looking type person. He's 6'4", 220, ripped, and an incredible athlete, and really, really good lacrosse player.
Yeah, he was one of the few. You don't see too many of them. I've been fortunate officiating to see a couple, Braylon Allen being one of them, but Isaiah being the other one. And those guys just look different. Those D1 athletes, it's hard to describe, but they're just different, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they gotta. It's just there's a genetic component to that somewhere in there. You gotta have the goods. You can work. The thing with lacrosse, you can work your way into having just an incredible IQ and incredible stick, and you can get there through hard work. But it doesn't hurt, man, to be fast and strong.
Right? That never hurts, does it?
Never hurts.
What is your assessment here now of the Bay Valley? What the season when practice starts here? I know guys are captains practices, things like that. Lacrosse is a spring sport, as most people know. But what's the Bay Valley look like first year?
It's a spring sport, but we don't have spring in Wisconsin, Joe. That's the problem.
I know. But fortunately,
we just had spring a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, I think the Bay Valley. Two of the and there's we're going through the growing pains of WIA, like what's going to happen with the conferences and stuff, because the FRCC, there's the FVA, there's other stuff. But if you look at it, we've had our we're when you look at Appleton, you look at Neenah. Neenah and Appleton were certainly top 10 teams last year. And then we were right in the middle, Bayport, all those guys. We certainly have some strong programs up here. I think Nina really surprised some folks last year, and Appleton played them really tough. I went to a bunch of Appleton's games, so Danny's first year, I think he did a great job. So yeah, I'm excited to see where we go. Bayport, whenever I go there, it's 40-mile-an-hour winds and 40 degrees and raining in my face. And I get off the bus and I'm like, really? Like, come on, guys, it's May, for crying out loud.
That place is unreal when it comes.
One year we'll beat them, and next year they'll beat us. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see how we do.
Yeah, Bayport weather. It's always pack a jacket, always pack pants. You're
Absolutely.
Yeah, it can be 80 degrees here and be that way. I guess I haven't paid close enough attention. So the first year under the WIAA, what's that going to look like? I mean, is it going to be the Bay Valley? Or is it...
good question. So you have conferences, right? But kind of like football, independent, you have sections. So there'll be two sections, Section 1 and Section 2. They divvied up all the traditional Bay Valley teams are in Section 1, plus a whole bunch of teams from down south, Milwaukee, etc. And then you have a Section 2 group, which is a bunch of the traditional powers, the Wanakes, those guys down there. And yeah, every team in the state's going to be eligible and go find a spot and play.
So your actual conference schedule, though, what's your schedule look like? Are you playing everybody in?
So for example, for us, just sheer economics and ease, we're going to play, almost everybody up here: Pulaski, Bayport, De Pere, Oneida, which is so special and so awesome that when I moved here, I did not know there was, a Native American population playing lacrosse. I thought I died and gone to heaven. Yeah. It was just awesome to meet those guys because, they gave us the game, right? It's a Native American game, right? And so we have them. And then Kimberly, Appleton, Nina, Wausau, and Pulaski is playing varsity. Rich Thompson's done a lot of work up there. So we will play. It's kind of a transition year. And to be honest, we're still figuring it out a little bit in terms of like how we take care of all conference and things like that. I'm sure we'll get through it. And I think the athletic directors and WIA kind of want to watch a year of how does the sport operate as much as they can without doing any major surgery. But really, at the end of the day, you're going to have your conference play, but what really will matter for the playoffs is your sectionals.
Sure.
To go into WIA. And every coach's goal is going to be get as high a bid as high seeding in your sectionals as you can.
Right. Okay. Obviously everybody's trying to grow the game. Do you envision with now being a WIAA sport more high school teams? Maybe Menasha, maybe.
I certainly hope so, Joe. I think there's a lot of tea leaves that send you in that direction. I love the fact that the girls team that had traditionally been run out of Appleton is actually being run out of Hortonville.
Okay.
So I hope to see a Polar Bear team here in the future. I think there's some other co-ops that could, spread. I think one of the complaints in the past has kind of been, well, you got these co-ops and they're hard to manage. And I think that's the trick is to, once you get enough kids, and the WIA's got rules around all this stuff, that if you've got, I don't know, X number, I'm not one of these people that knows all the rules, but once you have X number of kids, then you should have your own team, right? You should have your own high school team, right? And that's what's going to make it stronger as we move through it. And God bless, like I said, Ryan McGinnis gave us advice. He said, go pure Kimberly. And, it sounds like, oh, you're making a super team. And yeah, I suppose that happens with co-ops. But in reality, you're not a big footprint at any one school.
Right.
When you got 5 kids from this school and 8 kids from that school and 9 kids from that school. Whereas we have got, at Kimberly, I have 50 kids playing guys and, maybe 40 kids playing girls, we have a footprint in the school, and we're really
Right.
part of the fabric of the school,
Right.
which is what you want,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think, yeah, you're going to see more of that. I think for sure. I mean, I think WIA legitimacy added to it. I think the costs in some cases, and that's a varied story. Um, you know, there's been schools that for years they've been getting their officials and transportation paid for. There's other schools that have not, and that's not going to change under WIAA. So I think there's a spectrum there. But to the extent that you get the fields, you get the facilities, kids can weightlift, train, all that stuff, it's all going to point in a positive direction.
No, absolutely.
Which I think is really critical, because I personally, and even though I've been involved with club for years, I want high school to be the dominant thing and club to be the complementary for kids that want to play more, for kids that maybe want to go to college. But there's only so many kids that want to go to any sport to play in college.
Right.
Right. So
Do you think that, I mean, you mentioned this before, that the club always had that, oh, it's just a club. But now that it's WIA, do you think you'll get more buy-in from other coaches, from other sports?
Absolutely. I think, and one thing Ryan did, which was great, is he said, guys, just act like you're WIAA, which means follow the code of conduct, right? Participate in the school like the other clubs do, so that when you do become WIAA, you're part of it. And at Kimberly, I mean, the place is I'm very fortunate. And again, I felt like I needed to go there because I wanted Kimberly to be good. It's like we all meet in the weight room, we all meet in a good culture, we all meet in the speed, strength, and agility, and good sharing of athletes and that kind of thing. And yes, as another federated sport, it's helpful to be on an equal footing, right? So I think that makes a difference. So yeah, I'm excited that we're doing that. I'm really excited to have our first year for sure.
Yeah, now we need good weather.
Little stuff like there's media day.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And I got some really exciting players. I mean, I got some really good, really exciting players. Cody Oberman, who we were talking about, never played, filling up the goal. Jack Sludke is just people ask me about East Coast. He went out and played in Lake Placid, which is like one of the top tournaments. He played on my son's old travel team, and he had a hat trick and a thing. And I went to the coach after the game. I said, hey, what'd you think? He said, he's pretty good. He's from Wisconsin. They had this roster. It was like all upstate New York kids, all Long Island kids, and one kid from Kimberly, Wisconsin. Jax did fine. We got some really good kids coming up, young kids, freshmen coming up from the youth program. So yeah, we're excited.
How does Lawrence adding lacrosse, how do you think that's going to help the Valley as far as growing lacrosse as well?
Well, I think it's great to have, Lawrence, like we're working with Mikey, and I hope I can pull this off, to have him come help coach our youth coaches.
Oh, yeah.
Like give them and help coach us, right? I mean, I have this day job, which is fun, but, he doesn't. His day job is lacrosse, right? So it's great to have some pros like that really right in our backyard. I mean, we had Marion a few years ago.
Right.
And that's been helpful, but this is right in Appleton. So I think it's great. We're trying to figure out how to, I don't think we could get it done this year, but hopefully in the future, we're trying to figure out how to get games in the Bonta Bowl like we've had before. Joe probably remembers Owen playing there against us. I mean, that was a war a couple of years ago.
They always are.
Owen should have been in the penalty box even more, but we won't go into that now.
The sin bin, those damn refs, I tell you.
I'm telling you.
Growing the game, and I mean, it's exciting, but I know you need coaches, and obviously we need officials, and I don't know how you get more people. I don't know how you get people involved in it, because that really that's the biggest hurdle, isn't it? Is there's not enough coaches, there's not enough officials.
I think the trick is, for me anyway, and maybe it's just the way I am, I just go ask people for help. There are people out there that want to help, but they're not sure if they can. So I just go, hey, can you do this? Maybe they say no, but they might say yes. And, I felt it was important that Kimberly contribute to the ref pool, the officials pool,
Right.
and we've got, I know at least one or two doing girls and one or two doing guys now.
Yeah.
And of course, I've officiated a few when I'm still coaching, which is weird, but I try not to do. Hopefully, that's not going to happen this year.
Well, I mean, but it speaks to just the state of. I mean, if you
Yeah.
didn't officiate those games don't get played.
They don't get played.
That's the harsh reality,
exactly right.
for sure. Yeah, there's been a
But
lot of
Nick's doing a good job. So
yeah, absolutely. No, there's been a lot of great Kimberly parents that have stepped up to try officiating. Some have stuck with it, some haven't. But it is fun to. I mean, it is a great way. Even if you just did youth, maybe it's a little less pressure doing youth, and just it's how I learned lacrosse. I didn't know the first thing about lacrosse till I started officiating. It's a great way to just learn it, and I don't know. I've always liked the conversation with with Owen. We can talk lacrosse on just a different level than just a normal parent, father-son relationship, I guess. I like that.
Yeah, because you've been on the field with them. Yeah. It's fun. And Joe, I mean, it's fun. My lacrosse priorities are playing, right? I still like to play, even though I'm really old.
And you still do play. And
then coaching, and then reffing, and then board meetings are like way down, but I know they're necessary. Right. So and God bless everyone who's involved in all different ways. I mean, you know what it takes in any of these sports. You need someone to handle the finances. You need people to run the fundraisers and things like that. And if you ask people, I found, at least in the Kimberly community, and certainly when I was at Appleton, people step up and help. And I'm a Wisconsin guy by choice.
Yes.
Everybody you have on is like, oh, I grew up in wherever. And I'm like, no, I grew up on Long Island, man. I moved out here. I really like it out here because I still, there's still part of me. I feel like I moved to the 50s.
Yeah.
It's great.
True Midwesterner, Roger. True Midwesterner.
Yes, exactly. By choice.
That's
Joe.
right.
Choice.
Well, you brought up an interesting thing. Your playing days aren't over. You have an interesting playing schedule through the year, don't you? You play in a couple of special tournaments every year.
Yeah. So there's believe it or not, there's old guys lacrosse, and you can play in a 50 plus division, of 55, a 60, 65, and this year they started 70.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I know. Can you imagine? Right? They're not moving too fast. Okay, but we're playing the game, and I think it's just a sign of the times. Guys want to stay involved. When I play, so there's a big tournament in Lake Placid. There's one out in Vail, Colorado. There's one in Florida. It's actually next weekend. And it's a blast. And what's great for me is I get to connect with all these coaches, because most of the guys are coaches or high school coaches or former players. I mean, Dom Starja, who was my coach at Brown a million years ago, went on to be one of the winningest coaches ever. He still plays. He's older than me by, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. So it was pretty amazing to see him out there.
Didn't you?
I'm a youngster, man. I'm still in the 60s.
You can still score though. I see the video. Still throw it. Get it.
Yeah,
in the cage.
I had a hat trick last summer. I was tearing it up. So yeah, no, it's fun, and that's I think that's one of the cool. You play football. When you take, I took my last football pads off up at UMass on one of the coldest days I've ever played a sport. And that was it. You're done. I mean, you can play touch football, but you can't really play a sport. Whereas lacrosse is a sport where you can keep playing.
Right.
You can play club, you can play men's league, you can play all kinds of things. And guys still do it, which is fun.
Yeah.
I just like playing guys my own age. Out here, I have to play with, guys way younger than me.
Right. No, that is true. It is fun to watch the older, even the college kids come back and play, like, the old classic pickup football games, they pick up lacrosse games. Fun to watch for sure.
Yep. Well, I see Casey Powell play in Lake Placid, and it's unbelievable. Right. It's like unreal. Like holy
and
cow.
his speed lacrosse too. That's that's pretty cool as well.
Oh. Yeah, you just play anywhere. Yeah, that's a great. I mean, box lacrosse too is growing.
Right.
And of course, be remiss if I didn't mention we now all have the Olympics in our future, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
So 2028, we're going to have lacrosse in the Olympics in a version called sixes, which is going to be just, I think, a boon for the sport because it's a very, of course, I'm biased, but I think it's a very visually appealing game on TV, and they're just flying around, and to see the athleticism. Well, I always wonder what people think when they see the top 10. They see, top 10 on Sports Center, and they see a couple of lacrosse players in there. It's like, holy cow. Yeah, it's an athlete sport. There's no doubt about it, whether it's girls or guys.
Do you envision, I don't know, I don't even know what I'm trying to ask, but I guess maybe to add excitement to lacrosse, you can see it in the PLL. They changed the dimension of the field. They added the 2-point shot. They made it, I don't know, maybe a little more like basketball-ish kind of, or just more. Do you see the sport evolving to that at the high school level, or is that just going to be more professional?
Yeah, well, there's always been a certain amount of trickle down. I mean, lacrosse, like I say, to me, at the end of the day, if it has a ball and a stick, right, and some physicality, it's lacrosse, right? And that's the way the natives gave us the game. And it's been evolving ever since. I mean, there was a big rule set put down in the 1870s, and that's roughly what what we call field lacrosse today. But there's many disciplines of the game. They all still come back to a ball and a stick and being athletic in some way. I think high school will stay field 10 on 10. What's going to be interesting is to see the evolution of box lacrosse in the U.S. over the next, 10 years or so, because everyone's realized, hey man, those Canadians and natives are pretty good at field, and they got good because they started playing box. And box, for folks, on the out there in the podcast land, it's a smaller version of the game, 5-on-5, played on a hockey rink with a floor, and a goalie who's all padded up, looks like a Michelin man. It's much harder to score. But the players and the kids get many, many touches. Yeah. So instead of, if you have 10 kids, there's only one ball. Well, now you have 5 kids in one ball. So that you get twice as many touches. The ball doesn't go out of bounds. And I love both sports. I'm kind of biased towards field. I do like the aspects of field with the defense and the poles. And I like both.
Right.
I'm a field guy first. I started playing box on a tennis court. So after we did the gym class, the gym teacher said, okay, you guys are all playing box lacrosse after school. So we did, which was basically playing on a tennis court, freezing our butts off in January.
Sure.
Or something. So,
no, I love box as well. I've always liked the league the high schools play in, November and December up in Green Bay. And I always felt like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be bigger and more exciting almost. That's a great sport.
Our kids love playing. Sure. I mean, our kid. I don't know. Kimberly, we won the championship.
Nice.
Again. Beat Appleton. I'm sorry, Tosh, but yeah,
it's okay.
But it was a 1-goal game from what I heard. I wasn't there, and the kids have a blast playing it.
Well, the biggest problem up here, it's a lack of space too. I mean, there's only really 1, maybe 2 spots that you can play, and it's hard to. There's not a lot of space up here to play.
Yeah, you gotta be inventive, I think, and play all different versions of the game. Like you said, speed lacrosse you could play on almost any surface. Box you can play, like they have at Emporium, and then field. I mean, we played our first game. I think we played. Who'd we play? Down in down south early March last year, and it was 19 degrees and it was blowing snow, and I'm like, the parents are going to kill me. Like, we went forward with the game, and I'm like, yeah, but we got to play. What are we going to do?
Right.
We got to play. We took the bus ride down there, and Waukesha. It was Waukesha. Yeah.
So speaking of the southern part of the state has just had lacrosse a little bit longer than up in the northeast Wisconsin area.
Yeah.
They've had it longer, so they better youth programs longer youth programs.
I think bigger numbers just distill more talent. Like
Yeah,
Wanakee, for example. I think he's got a ton of kids
absolutely.
playing youth. Kettle Moraine, same story. And I think it's just a matter of time till we get there. And I mean, Hudson was in our conference. That was a whole
Right.
nother deal because they're out west and they won the state championship last year.
Yep.
So, but I could see. I mean, the sport started with Appleton winning the state championship.
Absolutely.
Within the first 3-4 years.
Yep.
So and I don't know how long I can stay at Kimberly unless I win a state championship like all the other coaches do. So
Clock is
Well,
ticking.
hopefully Ryan will give me a little time.
But I know, the Kimberly's, Nina's, and Appleton's youth programs. My son's a freshman this year. Last year, they go down to those McGuanago, and they all compete now. I mean, it's not like we're going to go down there and get crushed. They're competing just as hard as anybody else.
That first team, thank Chris Green, the first team that I had at Appleton, and we went down to U14. We played Kettle Moraine. We beat them. It was like that team where I felt like a genius. I couldn't lose with that team, because Chris had trained them all up, and then we had some more athletes, and pretty soon I was like, man, these guys are good. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing in the water down south. I think it's just a matter of time. I think there's a little bit of a field availability thing, maybe.
Okay.
But I think people are solving that in different ways.
Roger, you truly are becoming Midwesterner. Your pronunciation of water is more Midwestern.
Oh my God. Don't tell my kids. My son was out here and he's like, Dad, can't we get a real bagel somewhere? I'm like, nope, sorry. It doesn't exist.
How's the pizza here?
Let's not go there, Joe. I'm trying to be kind. It's okay, but it's not, Watch the opening scene of Saturday Night Fever, Joe.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
Nice. So when you were growing up, did you play any other sports besides?
Yeah, sure. I played baseball. I had to make a decision in 10th grade. I was still playing Babe Ruth baseball.
Okay.
And playing lacrosse at the same time. And so that was one of those deals. Like I had to make up my mind. I played football, played roller hockey my football story is really weird. I played no organized football. I'm like the reverse of all the kids out here that I imagine have this argument with their parents at some point. I was playing lacrosse and I did not play football. And my dad was an old football guy. He played football, and my dad was a really good athlete. My dad had played football. He played semi-pro football while he was playing high school football because it was the Depression, all kinds of stuff, right? So we had a dinner table argument. It's like, you're playing this lacrosse thing, whatever, And finally I said, all right, that's it. I've had it. I am going out for football. And so my junior year, having never put football pads on, I started playing football. But I had played 1 million games in the street and 1 million games of pickup. And I was starting wide receiver, running back in 2 weeks. And then I got recruited to play Ivy League football anyway, for what that's worth.
Wow.
So I always say, the law, I was telling my players the other day, I said, this whole play date thing is a nightmare, right? You guys should just go play. Who needs to? The kids today think parents have to organize something to play. Like, no, just go play. That's all you got to do. Just go play. I might be just barking at the moon on that, but I think that's where you get good. Yeah. That's where at any sport, Michael Jordan, whatever sport you want to pick, the kids get good by playing, with their friends.
That's so true. We Tosh, remember we asked, like Ryan Borowitz and some of these athletes we've had, they just shot hoops in their driveway. Literally, Borowitz calls this place the driveway because that's how he got good at basketball, right? Just taking shots.
Yes, I love that interview. Yeah, and he probably had buddies come over and play 2-on-2 or 2-on-1. You got three. Lacrosse, By the way, lacrosse, Naismith. Now I got someone to confirm this for me, but Naismith watched lacrosse to invent basketball. And that's why the two sports are so similar. people say, isn't lacrosse like hockey? And I'm like, yeah, it is. There's some of that same physicality. But in lacrosse, you have the ball like you do in basketball. And that's why you have picks. You have a pick. I mean, the whole game is pick and roll now, right? And all that. And this two sport, it's not surprising that the two sports are very much in line.
Yeah.
And to hear, I loved his interview. It was great. I mean, you do not get good at basketball by dodging cones.
Right.
You get, you're right.
Right.
You get good by faking out other humans. And it's the same way in lacrosse.
Yeah. Stick
yes,
skills.
there's some value to shoot. You got to shoot, right? And you got to practice your skills. And in lacrosse, it's wall ball, and basketball, it's the driveway, right? But you've got to play with and against others.
Yeah.
And can I go on a diatribe here, Joe, for a second?
Go away.
Okay, so I'll give you a little hint into how I think about things. This crazy U.S. $15 billion sports culture we have that thinks Johnny has got to play 365, the same sport, against only the A players in that sport is wrong. And it's why we lose to Costa Rica in soccer, right? Because they don't play when you play in the street, there is Johnny and Bobby who are really good, and there's Billy and Susie who are okay, and you try things. Yeah. You do not try a BTB in lacrosse unless maybe you're playing against a kid who's not as good, or it's a more safe environment. There's a guy I listen to. He's actually a soccer guy from Minnesota who runs a program called Joy to the People, where he talks about a concept of underloading and overloading. So overloading is, let's take all the best kids in the state of Wisconsin and go play all the best kids in the state of Minnesota. Those kids are all overloaded all the time. Guess what? They don't get creative. They don't try new things. They have a tremendous fear of failure the whole time they're playing. Underloading is when you say, hey, let's mix the kids up. Yeah. I had a practice. I still will never forget it. I mixed youth kids, U14s, and Drew Loritz. Drew Loritz was one of our best players, and I think he threw his first behind-the-back pass in that kind of crazy just pick-up game because it was a safe environment. Guess what? He started doing it in varsity games, right? Because of that, because he had a chance to underload instead of overload. But this crazy culture we're in is Johnny's got to be on the AAA team or the whatever. And yes, there's nothing wrong with having a component of that. But Johnny needs to be able to play, one, with his friends locally in his community, because one, he gets a chance to do something, right, that he may not have tried on the field before. Two, because he gets to be with his friends and be socially part of his community that he came from. And three, it's actually good for his game. The parents don't want to realize that because Johnny's got to be on the A team, AA, AAA, whatever. No, that's not the way it actually works. Anyway, all right, I'm off.
No, I like it.
No, I agree with you 100%. We've lost all creativity. I mean,
and we burn the kids out.
Everything's structured, structured. The kids are like little robots out there. Absolutely.
You talk.
Amen. That's what I love about my son's only been playing lacrosse for, I think this is his 4th year. But they just go out and he played his first game without practicing when he was 12 years old. Sure. Yeah, no, you're going out and playing. He's like, what?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I love about it. Yeah. Just you get a stick in a kid's hand and they're going to fall in love with it.
Amen. They're going after it.
You mentioned it, Roger. I mean, that failure component, and we've asked this question of people. I mean, that fear of failure is just so real and powerful, but it's the best way to learn. How do you handle failure? I mean, what is your? I'm sure you handle it in different ways with players and just personally as well.
I tell the kid, and you're at the other end of the telescope when you're my age, right? But I love what Coach Jones, right, who's, Kimberly coach for years, does leadership now, and he wrote a book, right? It's called the Two Thieves, right? And the two thieves are, fear of failure and fear of judgment. So I try to tell the kids, and we try to build this culture. It's like, guys, when you join our team, I can take care of the second one. We are going to take care of the second one, which is you do not have to fear to be judged. Like if you fail, you fall down, whatever, that's fine. You've got to be in charge, and you've already taken a big step because you tried this new sport called lacrosse. And so you've already said, hey, I'm not afraid to fail, at least trying something new. And guess what? So many of those kids, like I had a kid senior last year, he graduated, he said, Coach, the first practice, I was miserable. I was just miserable. But I said, all right, I'm going to go back the second day. And then he just started having fun, and you got to get over that. I think anything in life, if you want to say you're an accountant and that's fine. If you want to stay in your lane and be an accountant, but when you try something else, that's when you really grow and get uncomfortable. That's where you're going to grow in life. And I think sports teaches so many of those lessons when you can try and fail, and then work to get better. Right. I think the kids, this social media deal, the kids are constantly comparing themselves to each other.
Yeah.
Or whatever the standard is out there in some weird universe called the internet machine. And the only thing they should be comparing themselves is to themselves yesterday. Am I 1% better today than I was yesterday? And if we can get them to do that, I think we're in a better place.
No, I agree. And for any adult that wants to truly fail, just become an official. You'll fail instantly.
I agree with that, Joe. I agree. I didn't have my first game. Oh my God. I had Coach Marsh on the sidelines and I called the wrong color, man. I went over there. All right, with number 33, white, 2 minutes slashing. He goes, white, are you out of your mind? Oh, geez. You're right. It was yellow. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's amazing how you can forget a color in 4 seconds, isn't it, Roger? In that little time frame, people don't realize.
Yeah, that was my first game. I hadn't reffed in like 30 years, and my first game was like this chippy affair between Appleton and Notre Dame or something. I was like, oh my God, help me.
Yeah, lacrosse can definitely get chippy. That's for sure as an official, but it's one of the reasons I like it.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta control it, right? Yeah. What the kids like, the physicality.
Yeah.
The worst first, one of the things I've learned in like when it's a kid's first day is don't just focus on the stick and the ball and the catching and the throwing, because that's hard. But every kid can play defense the first day, right? Every kid can box a kid out and feel good about that. And they like the physicality. Kids like the physicality of lacrosse. It's not for everybody. I totally get that. But if kids have certainly wore a helmet in another sport, they're gonna feel fine playing lax.
Plus the lacrosse helmet's the coolest helmet in the game, in all games.
Absolutely, Joe. But you got to look through the top bars.
You taught me that.
I tell if you don't look through the top bars, now Tosh, make sure, if you're not looking through the top bars, we got two problems. One, the ball can come up and hit you under the throat, and that's a problem. But two, you're never going to get a date. We call that two-bar syndrome.
Yes.
You don't want to have that.
My son's told me all about that.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny at you.
Here's the question.
Go ahead, Tosh.
Here's a question for you. So looking into the future 5 years from now, what do you want to see or what do you hope to see in this Fox Valley area or in lacrosse period?
Well, I think in lacrosse and certainly in Fox Valley, I mean, I'd like to see, we're starting out here with 40-ish teams, I think, in the state. I mean, I'd love to see that grow to, 60, 70 teams. And I think that's what's happened in other sports that have become federated, like Minnesota, where lacrosse has become federated, Minnesota. The difference, some people compare lacrosse and hockey, but you don't need ice.
Right.
Ice is that's, man, God bless the hockey people trying to figure that out. That is not easy, right? And the cost that drives. So I would like to see that, and I'd like to see the Bay Valley be part of it. I mean, I think I go to, and you guys, I don't know, I go to football. I go to football games. I go to volleyball games. I go to hockey games. I love watching high school sports. I've been to wrestling. I like to watch my players in their other sports. Really, really a fan of this multi-sport deal. And when I look at some of the other schools, man, I mean, Kaukauna, man, let's go. They're part of a co-op, I think now.
Yep.
Hortonville, Polar Bears. Well, I could get an awesome helmet out of that for sure, right? So I just think it's ripe. I hope one day, north, east, west, maybe there's, one at each. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. It's always been a challenge over time to get going, but I think it could happen. That's what I'm looking forward to, and that's why we all want to go WIA. And I know one thing at Kimberly, it's certainly, and it's not true everywhere, but it's helped reduce the cost barrier, right? Because we don't have to pay as much for field rental and things like that. So, and you don't want that to be a barrier. And I appreciate what Noosa and Red Smith have done over the years, saving one starfish at a time with helping kids get over that barrier, which is a great thing. Like I said, way back when, thank God for my high school coach. He threw me in a car and said, we're going to go look at colleges. I mean, I wouldn't be here right now if none of that happened. He wrote handwritten letters to Brown to get me in an Ivy League school. And my parents couldn't afford any of that stuff, right? So I think lacrosse it teaches you lessons, and it also presents opportunities, right? So, and that's, I like to just pay it back. That's why I do everything I do.
It's unbelievable what you do, Roger. I mean, literally, there's nobody. I mean, the lacrosse people know, but maybe they don't know. You're unbelievable how much time you put into lacrosse in this area. You can't even describe it. I mean, you're out at Memorial Park with the city of Appleton teaching, kids.
I've had, I mean, I like I say, I mean, Chris Green started it, and I was like the Johnny Appleseed after him, just trying to help wherever I could, and there's a lot of folks that just put time into it because they love it and they're enthusiastic about it, and there'll be more over time because, like Truett Wilson, just to pick on one of my 22s, that kid, he's just turned on by the sport. He's coaching wherever he can. He's helping out wherever he can. And so there'll be more of those coming. Right. Luke Odgers will teach face-off to anybody in my group. And then, the guys that I know from Appleton, I'm sure will be the same way. Eckes, for example, and Matt Tway and Skip Horman. Oh, my God, I had Skip Horman play for me. What an athlete.
Right.
Holy mackerel. That kid was on that hockey team that won the state championship, and he could do anything on a lacrosse field in 8th grade. He made me look – by the way, have good players because they make you look smart as a coach. You just look really,
Just a little pro tip for all you coaches out there, right? Have good players.
Yes. Well, there's X's and O's, and then there's Janies and Joes.
That's right.
You need the Janies and Joes.
You need it. You don't want too many Joes, though.
Exactly.
I'm glad we got a chance to talk to Chris Green and to get your story as well. Because, I mean, really, you two guys, I mean, Marsh and Espinoza, there's been other guys for sure. But you and Chris, I mean, you guys just day in and day out just bleed and live lacrosse. And I just, to me, it's been such a huge, I can't believe that it's been a part of my life to, discover it a little bit later in life. Didn't have the experience. We Tosh and I, we went to high school together. We didn't know what lacrosse was. It wasn't a sport here. And to see it grow here, it's just such a great sport. I'm like you can't say enough good things about it. It's all the sports wrapped into one, and it's such a beautiful game. So fun.
And we keep the goals on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So you could, I mean, the best player on my son's college team was 5'5". And this kid could score. My son was 6'5". He couldn't cover him because he was too doggone low to the ground. In practice, like, how am I going to get this kid? And it's a very inclusive sport, I think, because of you don't need to be big. You don't need. It doesn't hurt at some level, but you don't need to be. It's great to be fast, but you don't have to be. If you put the time into that stick, and Chris Green said that too, if you put time into the stick and you work it, and you want to, that's one of the beautiful things about it in any sport. If you work at it, you get better.
Right.
Yeah. And in lacrosse, the stick and the IQ that you get from playing pickup games and playing small-sided stuff and playing speed lacrosse, for example, box, all that. That's how you get good, and you don't have to be, 6'5", 250 or whatever. There's only so many of those around. I mean, I could be 250, but I'm not. Whatever. Probably not a good shape 250. You know what I'm saying, Joe? Joe, who's just a metamorphosis. The guy. Oh my God, Joe, you're so in shape. Although I'm worried about this dreadlocks thing you got going on.
Midlife crisis, maybe, but. Yeah, no,
it's good.
I feel good. So, it's funny. The speed lacrosse. I remember when Casey was up here. This was probably before your time, but Nina used to do the street ball basketball. You'd go down it was a fundraiser or whatever, and you'd go down there, and the streets were filled with 3-on-3 basketball. I would love to see that for speed lacrosse, some version of that.
We talked about it the year, and then COVID hit, and I think we lost the idea. But we've been saying we'd love to try that.
Yeah.
And we might. I'm glad you reminded me of that, because I'll put that on the list. I think that's a great idea to bring back, because you grab 3-4 buddies and just like that Nina thing and play.
Yeah,
I think that would be awesome.
Oh, it'd be so cool.
And I know you're a music fan, so we get some music in there, and have a great day.
Yeah, we just talked to Dave Williams. We'll get everybody we talked to in the Newsa-Cast together, and we'll be a heck of an event.
There you go. I love it. Yeah.
Well, Roger, this has been incredible, awesome. I mean, we could talk lacrosse all day. As we said, it's middle of January, so I guess real quick, the schedule. I mean, you guys get cranked up soon, and then right,
March
downset.
11th, first. Yep, March 11th, first day of practice, and then people start playing games. I had the foresight this year after I almost killed all my parents with frostbite last year. Our first game is March 23rd in the Oshkosh Dome.
Okay, nice. That's good.
We're playing Watertown, the Oshkosh Dome, so that should be fun.
That should be.
And then then it goes. Lacrosse is mostly one game during the week and then one game on the weekend, or 2 games on the weekend sometimes, because we're a little compressed.
Right.
That is really hard, by the way. God bless our athletes that do that. Is be like saying, "Hey, all right, you just played Kakona in football. Let's go play Nina in football. All right, good. Let's go."
Right.
It's not easy. So so then we'll play, and the state championship will be June 8th, 9th, 10th, right in that time frame. I don't know if they've picked the venue yet, but they got the playoffs lined up, and we're ready to go.
Did I see?
For me, it's like season's coming at me like a freight train.
It comes quick. Yeah, once you get through the holidays here, I mean, it's February is a short month. It'll be here quick.
Yep. We gotta get to ref training. We had somebody who would do some ref training around here.
I know we need. I feel bad not officiating, but and I know we desperately need officials for sure. I almost liked officiating. I think I do almost like officiating lacrosse a little bit more than football. Football is fun with your crew, but the actual game and just that the sport is so exciting. I don't know. I can't say that enough. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun. Yeah, and it should be a good year. It should be a fun season. And we've got, like I said, I talked on some of the guys. I should have gassed up more of my guys. But anyway, hey, guys, I'm sorry. I didn't gas you up more. Especially, I don't know. Who else should I have gassed up? Goalies. You can't go anywhere without a goalie.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. We appreciate this. And I just want to say I appreciate your energy. It's
Oh man,
It's amazing.
Yeah, let's go. Thanks, guys, and thanks for what you do. I think I listen every week. Look forward to it, and it's good
No, we
stuff.
appreciate
And
that.
I love the perspectives. It's great. Like Olympians right in our backyard, all that good. They're really great stuff you guys have put out there and put a spotlight on it.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, welcome to this week's Throwback. This is something we always enjoy. We get to look back at the huge amount of interviews and content that the Red Smith Banquet has. And this week is it's a cool one, and it goes with the Packers going to the playoffs. And we have Nick Collins.
Yeah, absolutely, Tosh. We have congrats to the Packers for sure. And Nick, I think, was one of the great, although his career was cut short because of injury, was one of the greatest safeties the Packers have had. I mean, Leroy Butler was fantastic. Nick Collins followed in his footsteps, so much so that one of his first things that he requested was to wear number 36, Butler's number. So he played a lot like Leroy until he was injured, and that one took a long time, and some would argue maybe they still haven't been able to address that safety spot. I mean, Nick potentially could still be playing or would have shortly, if time would have played out, that spot, that position on that safety was covered by Nick Collins for a lot of years, and it didn't quite come through. Injuries are tough in the NFL, but man, he was good.
Yeah, I mean, so good. This is hard to think about, but 2008, he led the league in interceptions, returned for touchdowns, and interception return yards. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad at all.
3-time second team All-Pro, 3-time All-Pro. Just a fantastic career. Obviously, like you said, cut short, but one of the all-time great Packers.
Right.
Somebody that any Packer fan will remember. Yeah,
he was a great one. You wish his career wasn't cut short, but he got the Super Bowl ring in 10. So he was a large part of that as well, that team. So he was a good one, Tosh. I'm going to miss him, but he was great. He came to the Red Smith Banquet in 2019. We just had Chichi Rodriguez on about 2 weeks ago, I think. He was at that same banquet, and he was fantastic when he sat down with Davie Edwards and really, really had, I know we have said this before, but these guys are amazing. They're humans. They have really cool stories. They have really big hearts, and that's Nick Collins for sure.
Yeah, so get this clip of it on the podcast, but remember on Sundays you can get the full throwback on our YouTube channel. So make sure you're ready for that on Sunday. You can listen to the throwback with Nick Collins, and then you can watch the Packers.
Yes.
The Packers, yeah. So there you go. There's your Sunday for you. We got it covered.
Packer Sunday, you got it. Go Pack, go.
Red Smith Sports Awards Banquet Throwback.
The Red Smith Award, of course, goes to someone who has made some unique contributions to sport in Wisconsin and also epitomizes the great values that Red Smith exhibited.
Let's give a Red Smith welcome.
He is a Packers Hall of Famer and probably would have been in the NFL Hall of Fame too if we'd had a few more years with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Collins. So the Packers decide in the second round in 2005. How did you find out about it? Were you on their radar?
I don't think I was on too many radars at the time. Coming from a small school, especially black college, I don't think we get overlooked. It's just not a lot of guys come around. But I think now, this day and era, a lot of scouts starting to notice the talent that black colleges have, small schools have. What got me on the radar was I had an amazing career at Bethune-Cookman University. I was able to have 13 interceptions in a 3-year time span. Kind of the same kind of thing I did here in Green Bay for the Packers.
How'd that phone call go?
So that on draft day?
Yeah.
So y'all want to know about that story. It's kind of crazy.
Uh-oh.
On that day, on draft day, I just told my parents I'm not going to get drafted, so don't worry about it. I'll probably get picked up a free agent. But I knew I did great at the combine. My time was great. I did well in the drills. I pretty much, in my eyesight, I passed all the tests, the eye test. And on draft day, I was with my friends. I told my mom, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to the mall with my friends. So I get my parents' call. They was like, come to this hotel, to the conference room. We have a surprise for you. I was like, What? I told y'all I didn't want a surprise party because I'm not going on the first day. Not knowing Green Bay was going to give me a call on the first day in the second round after they picked the great Aaron Rodgers in the first round, the 25th, 24th pick? Something around in there. And so it was kind of crazy because when Ted jumped on the phone, he was like, is this Nick Collins? I was like, yes, sir. He was like, well, we're thinking about drafting you. I was like, for real? For real? It was like, yes. And probably 2 minutes later, it was like, look at the TV screen. And before I looked, all my guests that my parents had there, everybody screaming, yelling. I'm silent, like, I can't believe what just happened. And me and Ted and Mike Sherman and I think it was Mr. Murphy. Was you on that conference? No. Oh,
no.
Okay.
Mark says no.
But yeah, we all. But
and Ted wasn't exactly a ball of lightning on the phone, was he?
No, it was one of the dullest conversations that I ever had in my life. But I'm thankful. I'm blessed. I'm thankful for the Green Bay organization for giving me an opportunity to pursue my dream. So I'll say this: being a professional, a true professional, you gotta understand the game of football, right? So we knew that the Steelers was gonna take a shot when they was backed up, right, in their own territory. Yeah. And why not? I got one of the fastest guys in the NFL, Mike Wallace. Why not take a shot trying to get a big play on first down? And so we knew that before we got the push from the D lineman. I still give a credit to the D lineman because they're what made it happen.
Definitely.
But I was already breaking towards Michael Wallace before that ball even left Big Ben's hand, just because I knew the formation, I knew the route was coming. That's just a lot of studying and a lot of veteran help understanding the game.
That's a beautiful thing there, and if I remember right, that was a cold day, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't cold.
Did it feel good, though?
Yeah, you know why it wasn't cold? Do you see that trophy? Like, I didn't feel the cold, but after that trophy left my hand, I was like, what are we doing? Why am I out here in the cold? But that right there speaks volumes of the incredible season that we had. I was able to buy that jacket, that awesome jacket right there, which I still have.
Nice. I hear James Jones ran to the locker room so fast he couldn't get there in any time quicker. Because it was so cold that day.
Yeah, it was cold. Like, we was on stage and everybody got up. They called people to speak and talk about it, and I'm like, I just want to go. But I think it was just a special moment for us to share that moment with the fans who help us be successful on the field. And thank y'all. We appreciate it. Thank y'all for coming out and supporting us.
Absolutely. Before we wrap, what do you recall? What do you remember most about the day, the hit, everything that would look like an innocuous hit. When I see that thing and I see that swing coming out and I see, was it Jonathan Stewart, wasn't it?
Jonathan Stewart.
He's coming on the backfield, he takes the swing and you're coming. What happened?
A lot of things went wrong at the beginning. I think we missed a few tackles.
Yeah.
And I was just going over there trying to make a play. Been in that position 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my neck just went the wrong way, and
you kind of grazed like his backside, back of his
thigh,
with
the back of his top of my head. And when I hit the ground, I looked to make sure he went down because I was like, I know I ain't missing no tackle, and I don't want the coach to get mad at me for missing a tackle. But he ended up stumbling and falling down, and I looked, but I couldn't get up. Yeah. So that was the scary part of the whole situation. But the funny part of the whole situation was, as they flipped me over, and the trainers from the Panthers was in front of me, and they moving my legs, they checking my limbs, they doing the reflex test. So the trainer have my leg, he do the test, boom, I kick him in the face. I jump up, I said, sorry, and I lay back down. So it's a little humor in the whole process of that injury. So I think that kind of lightened the load for me because I knew I was able to move and everything was good. I gave the thumbs up to let all the fans know, let my family know I was okay. But I think the decision was made was for the best for myself and for the organization and for my family as well.
For a while there, though, you still felt in your heart you could do it, right?
Absolutely. I think that's just being a competitor. Yeah. And every football player want to walk away from the game on their own terms. I don't care what professional sport that you're in, basketball, baseball, hockey, it doesn't matter. You want to walk away from that game saying that your farewells the way you want to say it, because as a player, you look at all you accomplished and all the things you done did, and you have this vision already of what your speech gonna be like how I'm gonna walk off the field and everything, and it just didn't happen for me.
What's Nick doing these days? I understand you have a kid that's pretty solid yourself right now, huh?
Oh man, I'm blessed. I can say I'm truly blessed. I'm coaching high school football, which we didn't do so well this year. We went 4-6. Oh. But my youth team, I also coach youth football. 10U, we do AAU football, which 2 of my sons play tackle football. My oldest is 11, and the second oldest is 9. We was able to win the state title, and we also won the national title for 10U.
Absolutely. Any regrets?
No regrets. The reason why I don't have any regrets, because I'm here today. Yeah. And I'm able to speak about what happened, about my career and everything, and I'm able to enjoy my family. Beautiful. One thing about it, any sports that you play always come to an end at some point. I don't care if you play for 1 year or 20 years, you're going to have to say enough is enough at some point. And I think that's why I'm able to be thankful and don't have no regrets about my decision and where I'm at today.
And we will never forget that. Thanks, Nick. Nick Collins, everyone, our special guest at the Red Smith Banquet. Thank you, Nick. Take some pictures here. Take some pictures.
Thank you. Y'all the best. Appreciate it.
All right, it is time for that segment, Newsa-Cast listeners, where we have our forgotten and never forgotten. So we take a look at something we want to just space out, don't want it around anymore. And then that one thing that maybe is from the past or maybe something that's happening now where you just want it to continue. So, Joe, what do you got? What's your forgotten this week?
Well, Tosh, I didn't even realize that I had forgotten this, but did you realize that I guess we can have earthquakes here in our neck of the woods? So as I was,
you're talking to an earth science teacher, and it's my lesson that's going on right now. So yeah, I do remember that. I do know that.
I kind of figured that. Dumb question. We're not professionals. But as I'm looking at the paper this morning, Tosh, I had forgotten Crandon. This is Sunday morning, January 7th. You and I are recording. 2.5 earthquake up in Crandon. Are you kidding? That's kind of. I guess you want that forgotten.
It is interesting. I don't know exactly. I mean, usually the earthquakes we have in Wisconsin are from the New Madrid Fault, which is along the Mississippi River in the Tennessee, kind of the Tennessee, Missouri area. And that fault is an ancient fault that is like buried by rock and sediments. And that gives us the possibility of having earthquakes. And we have felt earthquakes in Madison, Milwaukee area in the past from that fault. But it's kind of unusual to have one all the way up in Crandon. So I'm interested to see what they come up with once they research that and why. Because I don't think we have any faults that run under Wisconsin. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that was caused by.
So could you said the one goes up through like St. Louis into Chicago? Is there a fault?
Yeah.
So it's
not in Chicago, but the seismic activity is felt in Chicago once in a while. Every once in a while. It's very rare. Not rare, but it doesn't happen a lot on the New Madrid faults.
They always talk about the big one. Is that just out in California on the San Andreas?
Yeah. That's on the San Andreas,
okay.
Yeah.
So
the New Madrid fault's not going to be the big one.
Okay. You got my question.
Yeah.
See, folks, how I handled that? Wasn't totally prepared for this segment. Threw a softball to an earth science teacher, and there you have it. It's forgotten. But how about you, Tosh? What's forgotten in your world?
I guess I have to go with the big one being a teacher is another school shooting down in Iowa. I just. We have to do something as a society to provide more mental health counseling for our students and for people in general in the United States. This has got to stop. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable how many mass shootings that we have here in the United States. So that's definitely something I want to forget for sure.
Yeah, I guess we all do, and we seem like we say that all the time. But I don't know what the answer is. It's
no.
Yeah, it happens here, way more here than anywhere else in the world. So you would think we're smart enough to figure it out, but I don't know. We just can't seem to do it. So
can't seem to get it together. Absolutely not.
No.
So yeah, I definitely want to forget that. And, obviously thoughts and prayers go out to those people. One student lost their life. So obviously we have to do something. We have to provide people who some mental health counseling or do better job of being there for people in general.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, actually. I talked to the kids about it. I mean, you're well aware of the Alice training. We never had that growing up. I guess in our day, what the kids don't have now. Remember the old the radiation, the fallout drills. I guess it was very similar to a tornado drill, but. Remember, we used to practice those in the 70s and 80s. Kind of funny.
Yep, exactly. Don't do those anymore.
No,
absolutely not.
But you still see. I always get a kick out of it once in a while. Some of the older elementary schools in town still have the little radiation placard up on a corner or whatever somewhere on the school.
Yep.
Most people
still fallout shelters. Yep,
yeah, the fallout shelters exactly.
Yep, absolutely.
The day after.
All right.
Well, Tasha, we forgot that. What are we never forgetting?
Well, I know you kind of brought this up a few episodes ago, and you remembered Pond Sports Shop.
Yeah.
But I remember another one, and it just goes back to the all around sports stores that we really, those little tiny mom and pop places that we just don't have anymore. And that was the Gamut Sports Shop, which was located right over by Fleet Farm on Blue Mountain Drive.
Yeah. And
now it is I think it's some offices for Fleet Farm now. but it was right by the old Fleet Farm, and it was called the Gammon. I think I got my first baseball glove there.
Yes,
possibly.
Boy, there's a great old name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one just came up. So I was like, kind of miss those little sports shops. I mean, you do so much online now.
Yeah.
You don't have those little sports shops anymore. And that was a good one. Just like Ponds was.
No, absolutely. And they, those end up turning into the places where you go down there and shoot the bull. Yeah. People are in and out, Grand Central Station kind of places. I miss those. The sports shops and the bookstores, the little downtown bookstores. Yep. I miss those places.
Oh, absolutely. So what do you got, Joe?
Well, Tosh, the one thing I'm never forgetting, and my body doesn't allow me to ever forget it, and that's coffee. I love it. It's the fuel that drives me. In fact, I get a headache if I don't have coffee. But the one place that's never forgetting, and I probably end up getting most of my coffee, just given my job and what I do, is at Quick Trip. And Quick Trip put out their numbers for coffee. Any idea how many cups of coffee Quick Trips sell in a year?
Absolutely no guess whatsoever.
46 million. 46,365,322 to be exact. But 46 million cups of coffee in a Quick Trip. Quick Trip and Quick Star. They have 850 convenience stores located. We all know there's Quick Trips everywhere.
Yep, absolutely.
But unbelievable. 38 million glazers, too. They sold last year.
Can't have coffee without a glazer.
Oh, it's unreal. that company just flows. It's really cool to see. I don't know. I mean, they just do gas stations, convenience stores, whatever you want to call them, right. And
they do a great job. Absolutely.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I spend an embarrassing amount of money in there eating. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's our never forgotten, Tosh, for another week.
You bet.
We pulled it off.
Thank you for listening to another great episode of the Newsa-Cast. We'd really appreciate it if you hit up our social pages, subscribe, like, follow, and don't be afraid to engage. Head over to our YouTube channel to get exclusive content like the full interviews and speeches from the past Red Smith banquets.
Thanks for listening to the Newsa-Cast. We really appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and tell a friend. A huge thank you to Diggstown for all the music in today's episode. Catch a gig or find them on Spotify. Help us grow by subscribing wherever you get your pods or sharing the Newsa-Cast. Follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, or Instagram. One of the best ways to help us grow is to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Northeastern Wisconsin Sports Advancement is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to raise money, provide support, and bring greater awareness for youth sports organizations in Northeast Wisconsin. We do this primarily through the Red Smith Sports Award Banquet and the Newsa-Cast. Each year, we give back to the community through 3 initiatives: the Every Kid Plays Grant, the Gives Back Initiative, and scholarships to student athletes.